Good
Hi,
deal.
I'm
Hello,
Candace Harris,
hello.
Board Game
Hello.
Geek. I'm here with Chris Leader and Ray Wares from Calliope Games, and we're going to take a look at Station Master, which is a classic that has been rejuvenated. Am I right?
Yep, revamped, new rules, or not all new rules, but some new rules, and a lot more bluffing, if you will.
Nice.
It's a great experience. It's always been one of my favorite games, and I'm so glad to be able to have it here and showing it off now. I mean, this is a project I've been working on for over 10 years, so
Wow.
I'm really happy to be at it.
Awesome.
Or maybe not
awesome.
10, 7 years. 7 years.
Yeah, I'm newer to the hobby, so I didn't even know about the history of this game until it recently popped on my radar. But it looks super cool and interesting.
Yeah.
You guys want to tell us a little bit about how it works?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, do you want to tell us how it works? How it plays?
Oh, sure.
Cool.
So the object of Station Master is actually to end up with the most points, and you're going to earn points by building trains, adding your passengers onto those trains, and then sending them on their way so that they actually leave the depot. And when the train leaves the depot, that's when you're actually going to score your points. So
Gotcha.
at the beginning of the game, each player is dealt 3 Station Master cards, and then there are also depot cards. Now, the depot cards, Candace, are new to the game, right?
Ah,
So
okay.
you'll want to go ahead and flip that over, because everybody's
Okay.
got one of those depot cards, okay?
Cool.
And that's
Thanks.
that is not actually in the old version of the game, and it really provides an exciting twist and more control for each of the players. So then each one of the pawns, if you will, the tokens, they all have numbers on them. So if you want to flip one set over, the viewers will be able to see what they are. But they range from -1 to 3.
Okay.
Right? There is no 0. Okay?
And these represent your passengers that you're going to board onto these trains, because you in this game are all station masters. You are working to try to link up the rail cars with the locomotives. You're looking to board the passengers on the trains, but you're going to do it in a way that is going to be sneaky. And let's face it, there's a lot of player interaction in this game. You're going to mess with other people. You're going to play
Nice.
cards. You're going to bluff. You're gonna just mess people up the entire time.
Or you just get the jab at them, you know?
Yeah, you're gonna
Just give them that jab.
That's like my
friendly
kind of
poke.
Because to step away for just a second, so Calliope Games is usually known for pretty happy, friendly, zen-like fare. You know, roll
This is a happy
thorough.
fair.
It's all pretty nice. You know, these are nice games. Station Master may look like a pretty train game, but it's mean. It's a fun mean, but it's mean.
That's awesome.
It
So, yeah,
is.
Nikki's
It's
got it
really
all
good.
set
So
up.
the cards, the actual gameplay itself, though, so when you set it up, you actually set the locomotive cards in the middle of the table, and you'll have a number of cards equal to the number of players, right? So actually with the 5
4
players, yep.
players.
So you would have 4 up there, right there.
Okay.
So it is possible for a 5th locomotive to come out, right?
Okay.
But that's actually a special ability card that's in the deck that will come into play as you play through the game. Okay. So on your turn, though, you get to do one of 2 actions. You can either play a Station Master card, which is one of the rail cards, onto one of the locomotives. Okay.
Okay.
So those cards will have positive and negative values. So if it's the positive values will all represent passenger rail cars. Okay.
Okay.
The negative values are for freight cars. So there you have your fish car, and then
Fish
you
car.
have your passenger car just above it, and then
Yep.
you have a deluxe car, which is at 6 -3. Okay.
Okay.
If you play that on an executive locomotive, then you get to use the positive value. However, if you put that luxury car on any other locomotive, it becomes
not working.
negative, right? So,
Okay.
so you want to make sure that if you're riding that executive, that you get it on the right locomotive. Okay.
Got it.
So, so on your turn, you get to either play the card, right, or you'll get to play a token. Now the tokens have, again, those values -1 to a +3. Okay, and they represent the number of passengers that you will actually have on that train. Okay, up in the right-hand corner of each of the locomotive cards, there is a point value, right? Not the rail card, so the actual locomotives that are in the center of the table. Yep.
There you go.
So that's the actual value of the locomotive. Okay.
Okay.
And what that tells you is how many rail cars can actually be on that locomotive. So that particular locomotive can hold 4 of the rail cars before it actually leaves the station.
Okay.
It also represents the number of passenger tokens that can be on the card. So that one can actually have 6 tokens on it and 6 rail cars. Okay? Now, it doesn't have to have all 6 tokens on it to leave the station, but it does have to have the 6 rail cars to leave the station.
Okay. Got it.
So on your turn, you only have 1 or 2 decisions to make. Am I going to add to the locomotive, or am I playing my passengers on a specific locomotive?
Okay.
So let's play this thing out just for a second, right?
Yeah.
So you got
love
that bottom locomotive down there that it's only 4 cars before it's leaving the station. So someone might decide, you know what? I'm going to jump on this with a passenger token early. I'm going to put my 3 on this thing because that's a high value, right?
Yeah.
So they throw their 3 on there, but you put it face down so nobody knows the value of what you just put on there. Now it goes to the next player, and they say, "Oh, you jumped on that one, did you?" I'm going to put a negative value card on that train as one of the 4 cars that are being pulled. So you've started this thing off at a negative. So
Nick,
as you're going around, people are choosing what they want to do. And if you jump on early and people start putting negatives on the train as the rail cars, you start going, "Oh no, I got on this thing too early." Whereas sometimes it's safer to start by being like, I'm just going to start putting some positive values on some locomotives and start making it look attractive to other people to entice them to do it. And then secretly you've been holding on to -6-point cards. And once people start jumping on a train, you play those cards on there. And then what happens is once a train is full of rail cars, once that one at the bottom has 4 rail cars attached to it, and they get
Go ahead, flip them over. You're going to see them.
Yeah, there you go.
Be
and you can
up.
stagger them as you place them, so that only the numbers are kind of showing a little bit. There you go.
Yeah.
So let's say
Nikki,
we put
there you go.
Yeah, there you
No,
go.
so take that green one that you had there, Candace, and put that one down.
That's actually Nikki.
Nope. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So go ahead and play.
You want a negative card on there?
Yep.
There we go. There we go.
And play another one on there.
Another negative one?
Just go ahead and play another. Well, depends on how mean you want to be.
Okay. There we go. There we go.
And now yellow's like, I'm going to wreck this person. So if yellow's got a negative, they're like, I'm playing this thing. And that's the other thing in those cards. Yeah, there you go. So boom. So now the game stops for a second, and the train would score. So what would happen first is all the players would flip over their passenger pawn. So you would reveal the value of the passengers that these folks had on the train.
Okay.
Now you determine the train's value, and the way you do that is you just look at all of the different cars and you do the positive and negative values. And are those 2 3s? And then
it's a +7 to a -8. So it's a -1.
Yeah, so it's a -1.
So it's a negative 1 point train. Now what you do is you multiply that by the value of the passengers. So the red player has -3 points for this train. But the
Ouch.
purple player was a little bit smart. They played their negative, and standard math rules are that a negative times a negative is a positive.
Positive.
So they actually walk away with a
With a
1 point score for this train.
Nice.
So you'll mark that down, and then the train goes away, and another engine comes out, a locomotive comes out, and you
Okay.
continue the game.
And do you just keep score on like a sheet of paper, or is
You
there?
can do it the old-fashioned way,
Okay.
or I'll show you
Poker
this
chips.
real quick. I have this fancy thing here. We have actually created a Station Master scoring app. Whoops, we'll go this way.
Nice.
And what you do, everyone will pick their colors,
Okay.
all right? And then when you go to score, you just put whatever the engine was, that the locomotive was that you had. So we had the 4.
Yeah.
And then you'll put the different cars that you had there. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but if it was like a +2 and a couple of negatives, these would go on there.
Right.
And then once you had that, you put how many passenger points you had. You hit the button, and boom, it'll
nice.
automatically score it and keep track of it for you. So you
that's really
continue
cool.
on, and then you got the scoreboard right there. So
That
we
is
created
a
that.
fancy whistle on it too.
Yeah, and I had my sound turned off so that you're not hearing all the other stuff. But yeah,
Choo choo. Yes, that's awesome.
So when we made the app, all I said was, I don't care about the math. I just want a button where I can blow a train whistle anytime I want. And so Dan Taylor from Thunderbox put that together for us, and it's fantastic. I can blow the train whistle anytime I want.
Yeah, so
That's really cool.
So it's pencil and paper, right? But
Okay.
you have that.
Or
nice
the
to
app,
go
or
with
the
it.
app, or the app with the whistle.
I can't, for some reason, I lost your.
Can you hear me? Hello?
There we go. There you
There
are.
we go.
I'm back? Okay. That's good.
Yeah,
So I was going to ask, so you keep taking turns and either adding a passenger to a locomotive or adding more cars to it. And then what would trigger the end of the game?
So when that locomotive deck is actually depleted, the game is over.
Okay. Ah, gotcha.
So the only thing we didn't talk about was special abilities, ability cards.
There
that
you
are
go.
there, right. And so you've got a number of them. There's I think 7 of them in the game. I might be off, but I believe there's 7 of them total.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Plus that depot card. Okay.
Okay.
So now the ability cards, you play those instead of a rail car.
Ah,
And so when you play it, it'll actually allow you to transfer passengers from one train to another train, or it may allow you to transfer a car from one train to another train, or it may allow you to send the train off, right? So you can do all different kinds of things with it,
that's
right?
cool. So they just
Yeah,
kind of get
it's
shuffled
really
into that station master deck?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they come up randomly. Yep, they're in there. So
Okay.
no one ever knows if they think they got you because the number of passengers is full and you play a standing room card and you're able to put an extra person on that train, that might ruin their whole strategy, the whole plan they've been building up to, and you can go, yes, take that.
That's awesome. So after you play a card, I'm assuming you draw back, so you always would have
draw
3
back up.
at the start?
So you always
Okay.
have 3 cards in your hand, right? Always
Very
have
cool.
3. Now the only other card we didn't talk about was that depot card,
Depot.
right?
Yeah,
So
so what's
the
that all
depot
about?
card is a very unique card. So as the train is being built
Mhm.
and your opponents are putting passengers on there, right? And you feel like you're being left behind, right? You're not actually on that train.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Well, what you can do is lay down a depot card, and the depot card causes everybody that's actually on the train to depart the train and actually score the train up to the depot. Okay? So, and then you get to put your token on the depot, and then when the train fills with the completed number rail cars, then at that point you get to score what's left, right? So you can actually terminate a train early. Now the thing about that is other players can still get on at that depot, right?
Okay.
So you can still build the train back up to the maximum number of passengers. But the number of cars that actually go on that train cannot exceed total the number of rail cars that are identified on the locomotive. So the locomotive just went into a different station, right? Some people got off, some people are getting on. But when it comes to points, you just force somebody to take a much less number of points, especially when you're working with cards that are locomotives that can take 7 and 8 rail cars, right?
Okay.
And so those cars can be really, really interesting when you get into the game.
Yeah. It seems like that and the special abilities just add some really fun twist to it.
And that's the thing with the depot card. Like Ray said earlier, that's a card that didn't exist in the original version of Station Master. So I can vouch for Ray. The first convention that I ever attended with Ray years and years and years ago was New York Toy Fair. And we spent the day talking about Calliope games. But after hours at an Irish pub, Ray pulled out Station Master and said, listen, I love our games, but I want to show you my favorite game that I wish we were publishing. And we played Station Master, and he kicked my butt. He had fun doing it. He didn't hold back. But what he said to me at that time was, I wish that we had this game, and I wish I could do the justice to this game that it deserves. Because the old version played really well, but it wasn't very pretty. And so when the time came, a little while back, where Ray was able to get it, that was the most exciting phone call I've ever gotten from Ray.
That's awesome.
So what we did was we didn't mess with the heart of it. Chris Bayless is the designer who made Station Master. Very passionate Englishman, wonderful guy. He made a really fun game. We didn't want to mess with the heart of the game, but we wanted it to look beautiful. So all of the locomotives, we went and found the most beautiful, real, vintage locomotives we could find. We went and we found artwork for trains, and Andrew Hepworth, who's our art director, really knocked it out of the park with bringing them to life.
Yeah, the cards look
we
great.
made the whole thing just shine. And then we put something in like the depot, because over the years, there was some thoughts of maybe there could be some runaway leader issues with the old version of the game. How do we fix that without messing the game up? And it was amazing because Chris Bayless, the designer, had the idea for the depot in his back pocket. So when we talked to him and said, what kind of things can we do? And we looked at his notes, we talked to him. This thing stood out, and it went, oh, this is perfect. He had it in mind for a possible expansion at some point, and we said, you know what? Let's roll it right into the main game, and it works wonderfully. It can be used both on defense and on offense. You can use it either way. And it's a fun choice. Some games you don't even use it, but you threaten to.
Right.
So, what's so wonderful to me is that the game that Ray showed me years ago, this is the definitive, most wonderful version of that game. And I'm so happy that we're finally able to bring this out to train game fans and people who just like to get around a table and kind of look each other in the eye and say, I'm going to mess you up.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing about the tokens that you'll notice is that they actually stand up.
Cool.
You can stand the boot up itself, right? And then the number is facing you, so your opponent can't see it. Right? So everything is facing you, so you know exactly what you have instead of actually flipping things
and having to keep flipping them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the old version of the game, those were poker chips that just had a number printed, and it was exceedingly difficult to stand up poker chips on ends so that you could see them all.
So you're constantly having
you found a lot of the game. Yeah, exactly. You were just doing this the entire thing. Oh, yeah, I thought I put my 3 out. I put my 1 out. And the other thing we actually added to the game with this was that negative value was not something that existed in the prior version. So being able to put a passenger pawn out there and draw people to put cards on a train, and they think they're getting you, and then you reveal that it's a negative.
Boom.
It's brilliant.
It's great.
It's so
it's
much
great.
fun.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that was the brainchild of James Ernest, right? So he's a good poker bluff card player and loves to bluff, and he's like,
yeah,
I love this game, but the one thing that I would do is add a -1. And I was like,
absolutely,
that is genius.
Yes.
I like to say that James added some well-needed negativity to the game, right?
So what are the other? So we got the boots, the top hat. Is the pink component supposed to be like a perfume bottle, or what? What's
Yes.
the yellow? Okay.
And then you have the book, and then the top hat.
Oh, it's a book. Oh, gotcha. Cool. Yep. And they're wooden pieces.
And those are all wooden pieces, correct?
Very nice. And
we
this
do have a deluxe version of the game that was available on Kickstarter, where those components have been changed up. So there's a ticket and a derby instead of the top hat, and there's a watch, the conductor's watch. So there's a couple of different things in there just to fancy it up a little bit. But they're both great. The experience is wonderful out of Beach.
And what was the player count on this game? Is it 2 to 5?
It's actually plays up to 6 players, 2 to 6.
6 players, 2 to 6. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And
about
plays in about 40-45 minutes.
Wow. That's awesome. So I'm sure you will just keep playing back-to-back games of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those games where people get around the table and they play, and then they go, no, it's not going to end that way. We're playing again. I'm going to get you.
That's great, guys. Thanks. So we have a couple more minutes. Do you want to share anything else about Station Master or anything else that's upcoming for Calliope Games? Oh, also, is this currently available? Where can people get Station Master?
So it is at the factory right now. They're finishing up the production. It's supposed to be ready to ship on August 3rd, which is going to put it here mid-September, right?
Nice.
So we'll have it in the stores mid-September. And once it's here, it'll be $25, right? So it's worth every penny that's there.
Yeah.
And it'll be in distribution and at your local game store. So feel free to reach out to your game store, see if they can pre-order through distribution, and we'll get it to everybody who wants to get their hands on it and ride the rails.
Yeah.
It seems like
that's our release for the year, right?
Okay.
But we do have 3 more games that we're working on that will hit the first part of next year. We will be doing a Kickstarter for them, and one was done by our very own Chris Leader. So it's a cooperative game that solves all the issues I believe that exist in cooperative games. So I'm really excited to do it. But all 3 of the games will retail for $15. So
nice.
It'll be a lot of fun for each one. So beautiful artwork, beautiful gameplay. One's a co-op game, one's a bidding auction style game, right? And then the other one's set collection. So
cool.
All 3 of them are very unique in the way they play. They all look very unique, and they'll all be here the first part of next year.
We all need a collection of small games you can take anywhere that play with a lot of people.
Love
right?
it. And that play fast.
We all need, so.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and it's easy because you'll be able to put them on your train, right? And everything will go together.
Nice. Well, thank you, Chris and Ray. This is Station Master from Calliope Games. Check it out, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.